Ha ha ha!
We're back. So what are you laughing at now?
Dive right in. Andrew shit his pants. Because if you haven't already guessed it, Andrew should never be left unattended.
It's like my skin's being torn away from my face.
Well, you told me you were heavier than you are now.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
On a serious note, though.
Yeah, she does rip the shit out.
See you next year. About who we are and what we're doing, or do we just need to dive right in?
I think we dive right in. I don't know. There's an opportunity for people to kind of look back at some of the work. There's a couple of podcasts out there. I think we're a year on since the last kind of like podcast.
Has it been that long?
At least a year. We've just recently done a couple of lives, and we will be doing more of those. And this
now we've figured them out.
I don't know. Kinda, yeah. There's a bit more we've got a meeting tomorrow to do a little bit more investigation about that.
They're worth watching just for seeing Andrew shit his pants every time I start laughing.
It's those pauses on a live that just do not know. No, I'm not risk averse at all.
I think eventually people will realise that you have a fear of being naughty. Or what would be perceived as being naughty?
I think it's getting in trouble. Is the challenge there?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Which is why you're not naughty.
Oh, body language has changed.
Because you fear being told off.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's just that all of a sudden, I can remember we were walking across the silver birch and there was a chuckle, but the chuckle came from nowhere. And it's like, ooh. Ooh, what thoughts have just crossed that mind?
It's terrible. Probably a lot of the time you don't want to know, to be honest.
And you did give us the option that you shouldn't share. So I did say, please don't. And then you did. Although I've got to say, that was pretty tame. That was pretty tame.
It was tame. That was
pretty tame. That was pretty tame.
Yeah. So, what are we talking about then?
Well, you're probably getting the gist of who we are and what we're about already.
Pair of idiots.
But yeah,
talking
just
about
we kind of just
life.
This is probably, is it going to be about life? I mean,
originally we talked about nature natters, or I said nature natters because our whole thing has evolved from connection to nature, well-being through nature.
Yeah.
And there's lots we can talk about that, and there's lots of researchy bits and scientific bits, and we can talk to lots of really interesting people, but almost inevitably, whenever we start talking about something, it just comes back to real life.
Yeah, so I think
and
you're right.
And stuff that people just experience.
You're right, because I think all of the, for one of the well-being evidence for nature, so I think that comes up in our live streams, and that comes up in our, I guess, specific topics that we kind of we capture then, whereas the podcasts have been like an evolution of conversation. And
mostly
then
in the car.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think of the last one we did. I can't remember everything that was spoke about in there, but it was...
We talked about, that was just before the welcome ceremony? Because we...
No, I think it was... I'm going to say it was a long time before that.
Was it?
Because one of the topics I can remember talking about in there was education.
Yeah.
We did speak a lot around education, because some of our work is in schools, and I think because of what we draw upon, I guess, our own experiences, either as parents in our own rights, with our own families, or our own personal experiences in education.
Yes.
So, and seeing that today, a few generations on, personally, and seeing some of those challenges. So I know there will, I think, be a lot that we can share about that, because that's still evolving, and at the same time, right now, I feel that working in education and training is going to be a big part of what we do going forward.
Next generation.
Yeah, and for want of a word, not leaving anybody behind.
Yeah.
So the concept of inclusion, inclusion has been...
And it's hilarious working with you, with young people, because that's when your vulnerability of not wanting to be in trouble really comes out. It's quite funny.
Yes, it's quite an interesting dynamic. I don't think they're going to have two other people that they work with the same.
No, they won't.
Never. Oh, dear me.
Oh, so yeah. I mean, we were in a school earlier.
We were. I don't know. It's just having... I think everything we do comes from a passion. And I think that drives us to create change. And also, perhaps, I think there's been an evolution of sometimes trying to create change at all cost.
Yeah.
And perhaps right now understanding where effort is best placed. I think that's been an evolution for us. Sometimes there's things that you push against and it's just not the right time right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean never, but right now.
Well, I think most people can relate to that, can't they? Life's a bit like that. You try for something or you strive for something and the timing's not right or it doesn't go right or something else crops up.
But don't you think that's a lesson that's learnt?
Mm.
And sometimes it takes a long time.
I had this conversation literally just the other day. It does involve Shetland ponies.
Oh, please do carry on.
But literally, there is somebody looking to rehome a Shetland pony, and it's because a set of parents that they lived with and cared for has died.
Oh, okay.
Some wills have been changed. They're having to buy out siblings, and where they're based at the moment, land is so expensive that they just can't afford to be there, which is why she's looking to rehome the Shetland. Mm-hmm. But I had that conversation with a complete stranger the other day. Because I said it sounds like a lot of big changes, and she's like, yeah, not planned, and it didn't sound particularly positive. So we had the whole conversation around sometimes life kind of goes that way, and even if you can't see it at the time, you've kind of got to trust the process, and it's part of a bigger plan, and that something possibly better is coming along.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I heard an amazing saying yesterday, listening to a podcast, is in what you seek lies beyond the pain.
Oh.
Which is, whew. I do challenge going there at times. And I think, it is.
Dig it out. I read something about pain the other day, actually, about different types of pain.
Okay.
I can't remember the wording used. I'm going to have to find it, but it was really interesting because it basically said there's this one type of pain, which is like an uncomfortable pain. But if you're willing to kind of go through it, that's the area in which you grow. And then there's another type of pain, which when you ignore it or you bury it or you kind of turn your back on it, then you kind of stay where you are. But it was a really interesting concept, and it was written better than what I'm saying now, but I'll have to find it out.
This is fascinating, and I think perhaps we've found our in.
Pain.
Pain
and suffering.
But pain and the avoidance of pain. I think my cycle in where if I'm challenged and kind of left unattended.
Andrew should never be left unattended.
Is a point I somehow circle around. So many analogies coming around as I say that. I evolve back round to safety and comfort, which is not usually the best place for me, because when I'm challenged and I move beyond through passion, the rewards are the other side. What are you laughing at now? What have I said?
It is, as you're talking about evolving around and going around, all I've got is that conversation in my head.
What, this morning's conversation?
No, it
Which
wasn't
one?
even this morning's. It was last weekend. It was before last weekend, because I took my boys skydiving.
Oh, okay.
All I've got is the conversation in my head where you told me about your experience of skydiving.
Okay, skydiving. Apart from okay. If
Sorry, I don't know why my mind went there. It's because you were talking about going around, and I just had mental image of you in my head in a big tube.
So in another life, so you were going away this weekend, and we actually haven't spoke about how that went, but you were going away.
It was a disaster.
So you were going away this weekend to do some indoor skydiving.
Like one of the biggest anticlimaxes ever.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll share my bit, and we'll see. So in another life, I did some indoor skydiving out in New Zealand, and I'm not a small frame person. I think I went first, and there is video evidence of this.
Well, you told me you were heavier than you are now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thanks.
I'm just painting a picture.
What do you do with friends like this? So I can remember you get dressed up in boiler suits.
A flight suit.
You go into the internal chamber, which is all kind of glass perspex.
Sealed, yeah.
Yeah, see it. And you've got a cargo net you're going across because you've got the fan underneath.
Yeah.
The Rolls-Royce jet engine, I don't know, whatever. But I do remember the instructor saying stuff. What am I getting? What was that game show? Start the engines. I don't know. Not start the engines. The tin foil floating around. Crystal Maze.
Oh, I love that.
Squirrel chasing it. So I can remember him starting up the fan, and the intention is that you eventually kind of just go. It becomes weight bearing.
Weightless.
It becomes so that you could.
You in the air.
Lifts you in the air. Yeah. Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So then it was almost like a slight puzzlement on his face, which was then give the signal to might want to just turn it up a bit.
Did you have to walk in then, and then they put the fans on?
Yeah.
Slightly different like.
Well, this is how I remember it. Perhaps is the most funny way of telling the story. I don't know. There is evidence out there of a video.
Of you actually up in the air?
Yeah. So, and I'll tell them Skeletor because by the time, so they had to increase the.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell it like you told it.
What did I say? Oh, yeah. So it didn't go. So I did not take off. So they had to increase the speed, and I still did not take off. So it was like in the background. Wee, 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 wee. So you could hear. They're going, we're just going to go up another level. Oh, we're going to go up another level. Until the point, it's like my skin's being torn away from my face. Oh, this is a video.
Even better. I'd quite like to have a go, having seen it in action, actually. Lucas, we got there, and he watched for a bit and decided he was not going to go in there whatsoever. Ted was all up for it. He was like, yeah, I'm doing this. So we got him in his flight suit. There's a group of 5 or 6 people. And you all go in and have a minute and a half at a time and 2 or 3 flights. And there was this extra special thing where if the instructor thought you were good enough and you wanted to, you could do a high fly. So he would kind of tandem with you and spiral you up to the top and come back down a couple of times in the last 30 seconds. I guess if you do it too many times, you end up with people spewing into the fans or something. So Ted was like, yeah, man, I want to do that. I'm going to do that. Bearing in mind, these people, it's 15 quid for extra each time you do a high flight. So I was like, I give you permission to do 2 of those. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. He went in and had his first flight, and then he was like, no. I'm out. So we because it was Basingstoke. So we had a night in Winchester, only at Premier Inn, and but everybody in the same room. It's like hell on earth, isn't it?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
mine was a completely different setting.
Kids. Well, we because it's Basingstoke. We'll get up. It's only because we're tight asses. Because we were doing it on a Saturday. If you wanted it between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m., you had to pay a premium because that was okay. So we either had to be there for 11 o'clock in the morning in Basingstoke, or we could do it at 6:30 in the evening. So I thought, well, we'll have a night in Winchester because it's a 20-minute drive, and then we can spend Saturday in Winchester having a bit of a mooch, and then just poddle on off and do the skydiving. And then just drive home after that and get some food on the way home or whatever. So Friday night in a Premier Inn, we didn't get there till, I don't even know what time, but it was about 2 a.m. before any of us actually got to sleep, because kids in a Premier Inn in the same room as you is never a good idea. Saturday was quite nice. We had like a mooch around Winchester and stuff. That was nice. But yeah, so we had this massive like build up for literally 60 seconds in a wind chamber.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, if I'm brave enough and if I can dig the footage out, I might insert it here.
You have to. If I can dig the footage out, that's on your laptop somewhere. Sure.
No, it's on a. I mean, crikey, this is 2007. You are not nice, are you? So no, it's on a DVD somewhere. Everything was like, you know, you go to these tourist things. Oh, do you want a picture of this? Do you want an image of this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
DVD,
yeah. Oh, buy that CD.
Oh my god, that was anyway. Where were you? Cycling back round to safety.
Oh yeah, crikey, when did that happen? Safety. Oh my word, yes, cycling round to safety, and go pain. Yeah.
Pain.
Go. Yeah, we do find our groove, don't we, when we have these conversations? Yeah, but I think, yes, change, going through pain, or not, or staying where you are, staying stuck.
Choosing to actively ignore it.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, personal experience with that for sure. And I think we both, in the work that we do together, that we do individually, we see people going through change. We see people avoiding change.
We had that today. One of the young girls, she's been placed with a new family member. And the new family member lives in a more rural part of the district. And she's used to being able to walk into town and be with her mates and do all the things that young people do. And she can't do that, so she's feeling isolated. But it wasn't so much the isolation, it was the fact that she has time to sit and think.
Be with herself, yeah.
Yeah, and she was struggling with that.
Yeah, and I think, I'll be surprised if there isn't anybody who can relate to that at some point.
Oh God, that 6 weeks we had away a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And people said to me, it must be really nice to just have time to like, just sit and do nothing. And I was like, ha 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 ha. Sometimes it is, but sometimes when you're sat doing nothing, you're in your own head. And sometimes that is not a pretty place to be.
No, well, because I know for me, the awarenesses that I might reach on my own, they're not always pleasant, but I need to have those conversations with others.
Yeah.
To be able to make sense of them. And I'm as guilty, and I know I've said this in other kind of little shorts I've done on my own social media that...
Because if you haven't already guessed it...
Jesus, we're about to go off on another tangent.
Andrew is the total camera whore.
Oh, God. She's taking the energy away from a serious moment.
I'm sorry. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, no. Oh.
We're good.
Oh, no. Well, I was just going to say that sometimes I don't share. And that's really when you get in your own head.
I think men do that more than women.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's what I said on that piece.
I think women generally share with other women because we're better at connecting with other women.
Yeah, there's always conversation, isn't there? I think.
Yeah.
And I'm generalising, but it's an adequate. It's not adequate. It's a factual generalisation. Yeah, I mean, and I didn't realise that I was, and I still do that myself. That I will, keep a lot to myself.
Because if you tell me, I'll just rip the piss out of you.
Why do I keep it to myself? No idea. Oh, dear me.
No, on a serious note though.
Yeah, she does rip the shit out.
But like having, even if it is one person that you can talk to, but I think women are generally better at doing that than blokes.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's really interesting because, so we're here right now above your gym.
Yeah.
And being an observer, I'm not a regular gym goer.
You're trying.
I'm trying effort with a little let go with pen effort. I'm trying. Yeah. I'm trying. But it's a community where I see men talking.
Yes.
And in some respects, it's I say the conversations I've had with people about how many pubs are not around these days, but the pub was the place that men would go and have
Pub
conversation.
culture. Yeah.
And that comes with other challenges, but here in the gym, I see men talking. So yes, community.
That's all they do on a Monday night as well. There's no weight training going on. It's just literally mothers' meeting on a Monday night in here. But like it's such an important part of it. I think I hate going back to talking about COVID. But one of the things that came out of that was that even though people miss the gym, most of the time it wasn't because they wanted to be here getting hench, they missed the social aspect. That's the thing that hit home the hardest for a lot of people, was that they weren't in here socialising with other people, talking about life with other people.
Yeah, and I think, in saying this, and maybe the theme of what we're underlying there is the necessity of community. Everybody needs a community.
Yeah, connection.
Connection, belonging.
Human contact.
Human contact, yeah. And I think we do that. Is that a common theme across everything that we're doing, in as much as human contact, connection, and a commonality in all of that is meeting people where they are and treating them as a person, as a human. So I think in the school, we do that the individuals there are humans.
Yep.
And they're on the beginning of their journey into change, as they're leaving into
massive changes.
Industry training, whether it's apprenticeship, sixth form, or other options. There's change, and it's meeting them where they are instead of where we think they should be.
Oh my God, absolutely. That's where the school system's got it wrong.
And then when we're doing walking, we're creating a community when we walk.
It's the same across everything we do. We create the space for people to explore, whether that's explore who they really are. Try that out without any fear of judgment.
Leave that for me.
Other than perhaps a little bit of banter sometimes. But it's about creating that kind of space.
But in all of what we just said then, the humorous side, that there is, don't take it too seriously.
Oh God, you can't.
And I think that I think we're pretty good at that.
Unless you're Andrew stood outside the shop with a group of year 11s, trying desperately to have a sneaky or not so sneaky.
Breathe it through. What I want's the other side.
I get where you're coming from, because I think I spent a lot of my childhood not wanting to be told off. And one of the worst things that happened to me at secondary school was getting told off by the head teacher. For nothing as well. I mean, he wasn't even really telling me off, he was just asking me what I was doing. It was ridiculous. I can't even remember what lesson it was, but we stayed behind to clean the whiteboard off because I was a nerd and I was helpful and I liked people pleasing. And because it was a whiteboard and whiteboards were quite new, we were like, oh, I want to draw on the whiteboard. So I'd gone in a drawer to find a pen, and he'd happened to walk past as I was in this drawer and kind of probably thought I was trying to nick something and came in and like questioned me. I've never been so scared in my life.
I thought you were going to go something where it was a permanent mark and you drew something you shouldn't have.
I would never have done that at school. I might now, but I wouldn't have done that.
There's no might. You definitely would.
But I wouldn't have done back then. And so I get that because I was there. I think, I don't know what happened. I just got to the point where I just took a fucking... Hey, someone in the gym told me once, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And I have taken that and run with that ever since.
Shocker.
So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, where were we on about pain?
Well, we were talking about the space we create for people. That connection.
Yeah, the connection.
That human contact.
And it is giving the space. It's giving space. Everybody's on their journey, but the commonality is, if we create the space, and I'm just trying to think of our community walks that we're doing right now. We create the space. People find us. Yes, we do advertise through social media. At the same time, there's an organic growth through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And there's community in its whole. There's a space for everybody to come. And there's community within community, because there's like-minded and there's conversations that unfold. And I like to think that there's friendships evolving there as well.
Oh, absolutely. There definitely are.
And it's, I don't know, there's it's simple.
Yes.
It's simple. It's very simple.
It doesn't need to be complicated though, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, not
unless you try and make it complicated.
This is part of the learning process. We've not got the audio on the GoPro, on these mics, and on that recorder there. You were part of that as well.
To be fair, I'll admit that. Covered all bases.
Just in case. Right. But I think there's something there, the concept of pain in society and observation, cycles, patterns. I mean, even we're talking about men and women, masculine and feminine, we all have patterns. Mm-hmm. And they are repeatable unless there's awareness. But sometimes you need to check in with conversation through the awareness as well, otherwise you'll convince yourself otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I guess what I'm saying, I'm going back round in a circle, because the importance of conversation is huge.
Yeah.
And having the space to do that. What else is going on?
Wow. Got community walks, so our wellbeing walks. There's stuff going on in schools.
Yeah.
The digital
work that's going on.
Digital work that's going on. So recognising that we are all nature, and nature connection's important for our health and well-being, but that actually we can't escape the obvious that technology is a huge part of our journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually enables us to do so much more.
Yeah, and I think, like I've shared with you personally, it's it's reconnected me. It's a passion. It's reconnected me with the passion. Don't you chuckle at me.
I'm just chuckling because I just chuckled about the conversation the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And one of the things though, and this is I think something we've evolved into as well, that making the point of treating people as people is also really emphasising the concept of inclusion, which is part of the digital. This is where digital came from, creating digital content just in case for some reason you're stuck at home either because of a disability or because of some kind of illness, or temporary or long term. It's a way of being included in nature.
Yeah.
And I think inclusion it's an interesting, I think, a conversation we had recently. it's too easy to think about when you want to be inclusive, you're thinking of disability. And it's...
Yeah.
And
well, I think that's because going back probably 10 years, maybe even a little bit longer, inclusion was a buzzword. I feel like it's come back around because everything's cyclical, but
oh, yeah, it has.
inclusion, it might even been longer than that, was like a massive thing. But the foundation of that and the premise of that was inclusion of people with disabilities. But actually, where we are now, it can't be, because you've got so many people with so many things going on. It's not just about whether you're in a wheelchair or you're partially sighted. We've got people coming out that have got, mental anxiety about being out, that struggle to go out and meet new groups of people. That's something that comes up time and time again. When you ask for feedback, I was worried about coming on this walk because actually I struggle with coming into new situations and being around new people.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, inclusion is just such a wide scope, but you just need to create a safe space and be human yourself. Because it's difficult. It's difficult to be vulnerable sometimes. To have that safety to be vulnerable in a space you've not been before.
Yeah, most people don't like being vulnerable.
No, because it's almost seen. I don't know. Yeah, it's not a comfortable place to be sometimes.
Well, instinctively, as animals, you don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable position. And vulnerability, whether it's a physical vulnerability or a mental vulnerability, is still vulnerability. And inherently, that's not where we want to put ourselves.
No, which is why it seems so important that the space we create is where that can occur in a maybe unconscious way. Because I think people, are being vulnerable when we're on walks, but I don't know that they know they are.
Probably not, because you created that space where they can come and be open
and be themselves
and authentic.
Yeah,
and by just being open and authentic, generally at some point you're making yourself vulnerable.
Wow, what have we said there? Said a lot, but with a lot of commonality. With some interluding stories. The squirreling in what we've had so far is ridiculous.
It's life.
But it also, I think, emphasises everything we do comes from a passion, comes from an awareness of our own journeys, wanting to enable others, not rescue others. To create this space so that when the time's right, that the people can participate in all the aspects of what we're doing, and in doing all of this, I think we are finding our tribe. In who we work and collaborate with, who we connect with, who we are informed by, and also not being. And I think this is perhaps, it's an evolution. I don't know if I'm just speaking for myself, but what we have been doing up till right now is here in the forest, in Forestofdean, and at the same time really becoming aware of this is a change that can or should be everywhere. And I know we're not the only people doing this, and we're not the only people who have the same awareness. And
so if you've got a villa in Spain,
please do join. Please do invite us out. We're up for learnings anyway.
I will get on a plane tomorrow morning.
And I think there's an opportunity. I think we are definitely now looking at that next evolution is to expand where we do what we do.
Yeah.
And to become to be part of excellence, whether that's a centre of excellence here, but also to then find and seek and share what we discover. And that's, I think, on a global arena.
Yeah. We want to go to Japan.
We do want to go to Japan. That's absolutely, we do want to go to Japan. And whether that's just simply because that's the origins of the practice of forestbathing, of shinrinyoku.
Well, it is.
It is as a label. It is as a label. I don't know if that's where you were going. I will be quiet whilst you expand upon your thoughts.
I think you're right. I think because that's where all of this started. Okay, it wasn't in a Japanese forest. It was in a forest down on Dartmoor, Devon.
Oh wow! Yeah. The Dartington estate.
Yeah. Is where this all began. This journey we're on right now. But the practice of forest bathing did originate in Japan.
Yeah.
And actually, how wonderful would it be to link, like we said before, a Japanese forest with the Forest of Dean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Other forests around the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know the benefits over there. They've got 40 years of research. If you've got something going on, you don't pop a pill, you go and spend 2 hours in the forest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I know we know that through our training and our research and what we've studied, that this is happening in the UK, that people are being given a prescription to go and spend time in nature.
I certainly heard that in places in Scotland they were doing that if you went to a doctor with something like anxiety or depression, instead of writing you a script, it would be a nature prescription.
Yeah.
Go for a walk, go for an hour, and then come back and let's chat.
And that our community walks are. I'm staring down at the microphone. Perhaps I should look up there. The community walks that we're calling them, they are actually called Nature on Prescription because they're in collaboration with social prescribing here in Forestbathing. So that's definitely a step forward in evolution.
It's been recognised more and more.
Yeah.
Again, since COVID, I feel like stuff like this is kind of really it's starting to stand the test of time, and people I think realised during that time how important it was. If you didn't have that human contact, not necessarily connection because people connected via Zoom like that, but actual human contact and connection as slightly two different things. That one way of getting around that was to be out in nature.
And I think there's some. Okay, I will avoid my favourite word.
Why?
Well, save it. It's interesting that sometimes being out in nature when you are alone it can be a safer place to be alone with your thoughts.
Yes.
Because of the environment around you.
Yeah.
With, I don't know what the word is, whether it's practice, with stillness, whatever, through time becomes informative. I don't know. I think being in a room on your own with your thoughts is almost isolating.
Yeah.
But being with your own thoughts out in nature, I don't think you're alone.
No.
There's something innate with innately conscious, or perhaps even the stiller you are, the more aware you are of that it's not silent. Mm-hmm. There's always something to hear and observe and be aware of, and that can inform your thoughts. Yeah. Which I think is the reason within the forest bathing we give invitations for little things to engage in nature, which can be informative when you take it away and do it as a practice on your own. Yeah, well, something as simple as sitting by a tree for just 5 minutes can be profound. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Making that time to be with yourself, with not by yourself, but be still around a tree. Yeah. Yeah. Nature knows what you need. With awareness. Whew, where are we going now? Where are we going now? I have no idea. I have no idea how long we've been talking for. So do we pause for now? Do we wrap up and allow ourselves some space for the next one? Yeah, quite possibly, because otherwise we'll just rabbit on for decades. And I know that it's been a convoluting route. It always will be. It always will be. It always will be. And I will conveniently forget to go and look for the footage of me in indoor skydiving.
You're not allowed to forget.
No, and
You know that now I know that video footage is out there, that I won't let you.
Yeah, and there's if you ever get to speak to my kids, I'm sure they'll remind me of other stories as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I will bear that in mind.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about time for you to get in.
Oh, okay. Why am I here at the gym? Yeah, because I'm about to go and use it.
So Andrew came in and said...
Oh, what did I say?
Are we... You always panic. I love this. It's not even bad. He was like, are we going to do the podcast first? Or am I going to train first? And I was like, have we got video on the podcast? And he's like, yeah.
This is before.
And I was like, well, it depends on whether you want to podcast on video before a sweaty face or after a sweaty face.
So here, opted for before.
Maybe one day we'll do one after, just so we can have a bit of a giggle about what's going on the gym floor.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that goes on there. Again, it's in the mind. Mm-hmm. It's in the mind. Yeah. Wow. Okay, we're back. See
you next year.
Yes. No, we will do more. We will be ourselves. We'll be open. We'll be vulnerable. We'll be conversational. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Until next time.
Take care.